On July 2021, I left Berlin. I had to start a new chapter in Russia, St. Petersburg, for my studies. And it was actually very tough time because my visa didn't arrive for 3 months and I was very vulnerable. I was waiting in Korea and only after 3 months I could go to Russia, St. Petersburg. And then things were not easy. It's like right after I finally arrived in Russia, there was exam and everybody already made friends. Nobody wanted to know me. Russians were, I don't know, it was a sort of a culture shock. It was almost my first time that they took my passport to provide a student visa for me, and for that reason I couldn't travel for 2 months and a half. I couldn't even get out of St. Petersburg. Plus it was winter and it went down to minus 25, very cold, and I didn't have much friends, so everything was a challenge. And while that time, actually more than my journalist work, I was studying more, and at that time I also with other 3 girls living in Canada, US and Finland, we started a project to help North Korean children. And I remember that as a big experience because of the time differences, I had to meet them very late time or very early time in the morning. And we were all in different places, but we gathered for one purpose.
And how you try to help?
So our team's interest was the nutrition, because a lot of North Korean people die of hunger, and of course the children have a malnutrition because they have to survive with a very minimum food. The nutrition is always a problem for them, and that's why we chose the mission as to provide a good nutrition and food to North Korean kids. And we made a project called Rise for Rice. So Rise for Rice. And so I received donation from 5th of May because that's South Korea's Children's Day, and the 1st of June until 1st of June, which is North Korea's Children's Day. So between this 1 month, we raised the money, and on the last day, 1st of June, we fasted 1 meal and then donated that 1 meal money for the North Korean kids. And I plan to do it every year. So I spent 3 months, and then the weather went down to minus 25 degrees. I learned to swim in minus 10 degrees water. And then I was getting used to living in Russia. And then I wanted to have a little son. So I was in Turkey to have a little bit of sun. And while I was in Turkey, the Russian war broke out. And everybody was trying to get out of Russia. And I made a decision not to go back to Russia. Staying in a country where it's war related can be not safe because the border might be locked. And then all the other countries were putting sanctions. They stopped the international transfer of money to Russia. Like a lot of airplane routes were closed, and my Russian classmates went out for the demonstration against the war, like asking Putin to stop the war, and she got into prison. The situation was getting worse and worse. St. Petersburg gave me home, and experience and new friendships, and I didn't want to like shut it down. Like I didn't want to feel like I'm escaping from that country. That's why I still have my 40-kilogram luggage there, and I want to pick it up myself because I feel like I still haven't fully closed my Russian experience yet. Just like my luggage is there, some part of my spirit is still there, and I need to go back when war is over. So it's another unclosed box. So I know that I have duty going on there, and I want to fully finish it. Yeah, it's a unclosed box. Yeah.
And then suddenly changed everything. You fall in love?
Actually, I'm going to turn on the music. At this time, I met Andres, and we decided to start a new life together. And that was a whole new change. Actually, I didn't have that good memory about Switzerland because I was discriminated in Switzerland because of Corona. I remember when I was just walking the street, everybody would stare at me, and they were maybe they were thinking that I'm Chinese, and maybe I'm from the country, the cause of Corona, and so I was not welcomed at all, and uh, yeah, I just didn't want to go back to that country. But then this time when I was there, I saw a whole new, different country. Uh, Actually, I met the president of Switzerland, Ignacio Cassis, from a conference, and I talked to him like normal, like very casual, and I realized it's a country where there's no hierarchy, that people are okay with talking to you no matter how much power they got, and I liked it. And so it was a whole new perspective. And then in my life, I lived in 8 countries, and then now I knew that uh, now is when everything was about for me to expand bigger and bigger, wider to other country, new experience. And now I wanted to fold it into like a stabilize it and make it deeper and concentrate. So it's all about I'm on a transition to stability, tranquility, calmness, peace, and it's time for me to be now mature and um, yeah, it's like as if this weather, it's like we're getting for ready for the winter, and in winter people get ready for something, and then in spring we make a flower. So I know it's time for me to work on the next thing, and it's exciting. I only knew how to live as an individual, but now I'm learning to how is it like to be unity with another person, and it's valuable. I realize that it's a very big gift that I sometimes wonder, do I deserve this? And it's amazing, and it's also amazing to come back to Berlin. When I first came to Wiesenburg, it's like a decalcomani of like, ah, once more I'm alone in Wiesenburg, and it's like it's life is amazing. It's like Berlin now talks to me in a very different way. It's a total different way.
What's so interesting about the Wiesenburg?
For me, it's a place of unconsciousness, and it's also my shelter because first came to Wiesenburg on 16th of March 2020, when it's the day Corona started and the lockdown started. And we made a anti-Corona party. And that was my first encounter with Wiesenburg. I was jobless. I felt miserable that I was not useful in Berlin at all. I couldn't find a job for 3 months. I was very vulnerable. And then I made it a rule to come to Wiesenburg every Thursday. Like, no matter what, every Thursday at 4 p.m. I come to Wiesenburg. And on that day, I decided to interview people at Wiesenburg. And every Thursday I came and I met a new person and I asked that person about Wiesenburg. And just like that, I met a lot of people. They told me many interesting stories about Wiesenburg. I made friends. I felt like I found a family here. So it's a shelter for me. And then I say it's a place of unconsciousness because every time I was here, because I was so poor, I tried to not spend on anything. And when I was here, people would invite me for a beer and I could express my fear, sadness, all the situation because of Corona, all the negative emotions, I could take it out. And then in summer came the classical concerts. And then while I was listening to classical music, I could write down whatever I wanted to write. And it was so surprising because it's really my inner thought, like what's in my mind, what am I thinking? So it's like Wiesenburg is like getting into my dreams and knowing what's happening to my mind. There was a lot of vulnerability, fear, scaredness, uncertainty 2 years ago. And then from Wiesenburg's care, I could then become more independent, and I started coming less to the Wiesenburg because I became a student at TU Berlin and in November, and I found a job and I felt secure. Like I'm looking back my hard times, or in a way, like a childhood in Berlin, so to say. It's very interesting. Wiesenburg is my shelter. I was unsure about myself when I first arrived in Berlin. I had to like push through the doors because I didn't know where I belonged. But now I belong in so many places and I speak my voice, and I'm happy with that.
You speak your voice.
Yes. And I know that I can be my character and people can accept me as who I am, and I'm very thankful.
Yes. Well, after Berlin, you went to Russia. Why
Yes.
Russia?
There's many reasons. First, it's weird reason, but I like living in big country. Because I'm from such a small country, South Korea is like size of Hungary or Portugal. It's very small, so I'm always eager to live in a big country and feel how it's like. So I lived in China, US, and then I also chose Germany because Germany is big with a lot of population. It's like I want to learn how is it like to be that you're part of a big country and like you feel like you have a lot of resources, you have a lot of opportunity, like it's like I want to join the crowd and feel like how is it like to be the one who has power. Because for me, Germany had a lot of power. I felt that. And that's one of the reasons why I chose Germany. Yeah, and then at the time when I chose Russia, Russia was very quiet. After the Soviet Union collapsed, nobody really talked or cared about Russia that much. And then actually during my cycling trip, I realized that Russia is quite important country because when I cycled from Seoul to London, I went through previous Soviet Union countries and I realized that Russian language is very important. So many countries like Kazakhstan, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Macedonia, some parts in Balkan countries, they were speaking Russian. And I was interviewing the CEOs of startups in each country. And like 3 or 4 of them were Russians. Like I didn't intend to interview a Russian, but when I interview a successful CEO, it was Russian, and I was also surprised that I happened to interview the one of the best company, and the Russian was sitting there, and then that's when I realized the power of Russia on behind, and also I think it also has a lot to do with my dream because my dream is to see the reunification of South Korea and North Korea, and in order to be expert in these geopolitical matters, I need to speak Russian because uh, without like knowing the cultures, like if you see the countries surrounding Korea, like China, Russia, US, or Japan, it's like you need to be able to befriend other countries to talk about your situation of your country. So I knew that I need to know this country. And final reason is because I always wanted to work for UN, and it's one of the official UN language.
In your dreams, North Korea and South, they came together?
I hope to see that coming because that's another reason why I chose Germany, because Germany did reunification of East and West, and when the Berlin Wall collapsed, the West Germans welcomed East Germans. And actually in Korea, it's very hard to see. Like South Koreans, they're very rich, but they're not ready to embrace people poorer than them. They're afraid that they will have to take all over the burdens, the taxes, the stabilization of the country, how to take care of the chaos after the reunification and everything. There's a lot of fear from my generation, especially because we're the working people right now, and all our parents who have emotional kind of aspiring for the reunification. Now they're old and they're retired, receiving the government money. Yeah, and actually I wanted to kind of change that. And actually that's why last year I did a demonstration in Berlin about Korea reunification. And that was one of the best experience in Berlin. Yeah.
Can you explain me a little bit more about that?
It started from the idea that in Berlin there's a South Korean embassy and North Korean embassy. And also there's Mauer Park, there's even Statue of Peace. Statue of Peace represents the little girls from South Korea who was treated like a sex slaves to Japanese soldiers. And it's a common history of South Korea and North Korea, I cycled with my friends these places with a bike. We started from Mauer Park, and then we went to the North Korean embassy, and then we went to Potsdamer Platz to see the Berlin Mauer, and then we went to South Korean embassy, and then finally we arrived in the Statue of Peace, and every places we stopped, we sang a song. Yes, there we already have a song that would be used as a national anthem for reunified Korea, and we sang that song in every places we went. 20 of my friends joined from 11 countries, and I contacted police so that they can empty the streets. So all the big avenues in Berlin was emptied for us. It was just amazing. And I was on the news, in the newspaper. And now the same bike ride is done by the Peace Committee of Korea Reunification. There's a political parties. There's a committee in Berlin who has been working for the Korea reunification for many years, and these people also joined the ride, and now they took over. So from this year, they have been organizing these bike rides, and they appreciated me for starting this last year. So I'm very happy and honored for that.
And why is North and South Korea for you so important?
I think it's because I'm the one of the few person that I am for the reunification. My generation in Korea is one of the hardest. They need to work hardest. It's like we're kind of unfortunate generation because we need to work hard to provide pension for a lot of aging population, but when we actually get old, we wouldn't be able to receive much pension because of the decreasing population. And so we're the generation that is like all about survival, to find a job, to make a living. We're a very tough generation. So nobody actually cares, or they don't have a time to care about this geopolitical issue with North Korea. And a lot of Koreans, they realize how different North Korea is from South Korea. They already lost the connection, so to say. Now that Korea is so far developed and North Korea is so underdeveloped, and they find it impossible to reunify. They don't want this instability. They don't want uncertainty, and in that way, I'm kind of in a different point of view that Korea needs another motivation for change so that we create something new together. It's actually it's a lot of things that I was impressed by Germany. That seeing how Germany after the World War II, after acknowledging their faults in the war, and they really rebuilt the country, and seeing how beautiful Berlin is, the cultural dynamics and the artworks and the influence of people here, I dream that Pyongyang will become a very kind of similar city as Berlin if Korea reunifies. And so I have a lot of hope on that, and I want to speak it out so that more people imagine bright future for Korea.
And have you been in North Korea?
No, it's Koreans are not allowed to enter North Korean border. It's illegal, which is very sad. It's only Koreans, I think, we're not allowed to enter North Korea. I was at the border. It's it's called a demilitarized zone. There is a part where normal Koreans can access to look into North Korea from very far. And I was there last year. And yeah, it was pretty sad. One of the good thing or good news is that my husband has a Swiss nationality, and I will obtain Swiss nationality in the next 6 years, and then I might be able to visit North Korea with a Swiss passport.
And now you live in Bern.
It's I really like Bern because it's, in fact, in Switzerland, Bern is the slowest city for speaking and walking. And I'm very thankful about that because that's exactly what I needed in my life. That I wanted a stability, slowness, tranquility, and calmness. And there's a little part of Bern that is like Berlin. A lot of graffiti, a lot of young people, and a lot of kind of punk style, hippie styles, like a young people area. But also there's a history. What I really liked about Berlin is that I don't feel capitalism here. Because like place like Wiesenburg, they gave food and shelter for homeless people. And Berlin really gave me food. There's a Essenabholung project that you can just take a food that is not wanted in the supermarket. So I didn't have to buy much things. And there's a Kleidungtausch. So I didn't buy much clothing. I just could take it from the streets. So Berlin showed me that it's possible to live happily without using money. I was very, very touched. I felt hugged by Berlin, and thankfully I found very similar project in Bern.
You have a new project?
Yes, I'm starting a new project about sustainability. Actually, that's what I learned from Berlin because I majored in this sustainability course in Technische Universität Berlin. And so that's why I'm very much focused in sustainability topic. And in this May, I researched the Swiss government and Swiss companies, and I researched on how they bring forward sustainability, and it's called the ESG. It's environmental, social, and governance. How the company runs and is for the idea of sustainability, and I came to know how much sustainability is important in Switzerland. So it's a new project for me that I started to interview people and companies about sustainability. And it's very important in a time of right now, Russian war, because we need to really cut down on our gas and electricity consumption, and we try to have a alternative energy like solar panels. And actually, what is very inspiring is that my new family, my husband works for a solar panel company in Colombia to build solar panels on hospital rooftops. And my brother-in-law, Julian, works for a company who makes a water filter so that in the countries where they don't have a clean water, they can filter dirty water into clean, drinkable water. And I'm very thankful that they all came near me so that I also tried to help them. Yes, these sustainability is my new project.
anything else to say?
I want to express my love for all the people I met in Wiesenburg because they are spiritual part of me. I was so happy that I could make friends with people from different age groups, the different diversity of people, different countries, background, and I could expose myself to a small world. I felt like Wiesenburg is a small planet. It opened the door to the society. It's my friendliest home in Germany. I express my love and my part of my spirit and my breath lies in Wiesenburg.
Eva, thank you.
Thank you.
Tell me the story, what it means.
It's a Korean little heart. We started to express it as a secret sign to show love. There was a couple in Korea who were both very famous people, and they didn't want it to reveal that they were actually in love, so they expressed their love through this little hearts. And I keep on doing it because it's like I can express love like this or like this, but it's like it doesn't give burden. It doesn't take much effort to show your love, and I like the meaning it carries. It doesn't take much effort to show your love. I like it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much.